This is another review of follower Chief Gear and Charms. And I think it's number 5, maybe it's 6. I'll go back and look, and I'll try to remember to number them from now on so you can tell which ones you've looked at before. So obviously we are all legendary gear. It's just looking at it from here, he is pretty balanced. Like it's whatever the right side is doing, the left side is also doing for the most part. The exception is his marksman. So I've been very vocal about how I think your infantry chief gear should be your highest. That gives you increased attack and defense for your infantry. That makes them better at their job as a defense or your first line of offense. So I would probably recommend that he not upgrade his marksman chief gear any, and get the infantry chief gear up to T1 3 stars, and then bring up the staff to T1, and then the lancer gear up to 3 stars. And then moving forward, again, I would go infantry, marksman, lancer, moving forward, so that they all stay, fairly close to each other. But the infantry is always the strongest when it comes to chief gear. And, I am going to guess that he has prioritized his marksman gear because he likes to be on the attack, and maybe he did it for bear. He is in an older state. I am going to preface that. He's in a state older than me. So he already has the chief gear exchange shop, and he probably already has the charm charm exchange shop as well. So if we look at his marksman charms, he's of course got 1 to 11 to take advantage of the exchange shop. He's probably at least in Gen 7. He might be in Gen 8. I've blacked out his state a while ago, and I don't remember now what it is. I think it's in the 2000s, but I don't remember for sure. But so he's got 11, 6, 6, and then this side is all 6s. So pretty much almost all of his charms are 6s, except for, of course, the 11. And then over here, he hasn't gotten around to upgrading the compass charms for his lancers from it's 655. So if I'm making an assumption here that his next plan was to upgrade these two so that they're 6, so that everybody has 6 charms except for that 11. That would be my assumption. And so what I would say to him is he could afford to go in, and I would go ahead and upgrade that to 6. I would go ahead and do that. That's the first thing that I would do with his charms. And then I would go ahead and upgrade the marksman to 7. Maybe this side, maybe have it be 11, 8, 7, and then this side be 7, 7, 8, something like that. And then I would upgrade my lancers to a 7, and then I would start over at my marksman, and I would upgrade my marksman, and then my lancers, and then my infantry. So the marksman will be around an 8, the Lancers would be around a 7, and the infantry gear charms would be about a 6. And then I would, upgrade them all by 1. So then the marksmen's are around a 9, Lancers are around 8, and infantry's around a 7. You could have your Lancers, I said this before, you could have your Lancers and your infantry at the same level. I do recommend you have your marksman at the highest. A, that's going to help your bear score, and B, it will help your attack. Your marksmen are by far the ones that kill the most if you have them set up to be the most effective. So having them have the highest charms really makes sense in the long run. Also, they have a pretty low health, so giving them the boost for their health using the charms is a really good idea. So you improve what they are meant to do, and you also give them the health boost so that they don't die as fast. They still die pretty fast. And then, and y'all can probably guess what I'm about to say if you've watched many of my videos. The Lancers, especially when you're talking defense, they are the ones that are your killing machines on your defense, because you use the ratio of 60-40, and so you're relying very heavily on that 40% Lancer to kill as many as you can. So having them have a higher lethality is also a really good plan. It's not wrong to have the infantry equal to the Lancers, but because when you're in a defensive situation, when you're in a garrison or whatnot, since you're relying so heavily on your Lancers to do so much of the killing, having them have a stronger charm is just generally considered a better plan by everybody that I've read. Not everybody agrees. Some people think the infantry should have a higher charm because it does increase health, and you want your infantry to be strong as an ox, a really strong kind of offensive or defensive line. And that's, it's valid. That point is also valid. So just in summary, I would say upgrade the infantry, chief gear, get them higher than the marksman gear, and then upgrade the Lancer gear so that it's either even with the marksman gear or like right around the marksman gear. And then I would start upgrading them all evenly, like across the board, infantry, marksman, Lancer, moving forward, so that they all stay with the infantry at the highest, and then depending on your goal, either a Lancer or a marksman second, but marksman and Lancers probably pretty close to each other when it comes to chief gear. And then for charms, I would go ahead and increase my marksman charms. I would do those 2 for the Lancer compass, bring those up to 6, and then I would increase my marksman charms to I would probably go with an 8 across the board, bring my Lancer charms up to a 7 across the board, and then I would start upgrading them all, marksman, Lancer, infantry, so that the marksmen are always 2 charm levels above infantry and 1 charm level above Lancer. That would be my recommendation. Other people might have different thoughts, and as always, I encourage you to share your thoughts if you disagree with me. We're all here to learn, and we're all here to learn to do it better. And I'm not the end-all be-all expert, and so I'm always happy to learn something that I don't know yet. Have a good day.